There comes a moment in every journey where the visible world seems painfully slow, where nothing appears to be shifting, and you wonder if all your inner work, your prayers, your imaginal discipline, your persistence has been in vain. But what you do not see is far more powerful than what you do. Behind the scenes, a reality you have already claimed is weaving itself into form with perfect precision. Life is not ignoring you. It is aligning itself with the state you have accepted as true. You must understand something profound. The outer world is the final echo, not the beginning. Every outcome, every breakthrough, every blessing is first born in the invisible. And once it exists within you, it must externalize, just as surely as a shadow must follow its source. So if right now the scene around you seems unchanged, don't mistake silence for stagnation. A seed does not sprout the moment it touches the soil, yet beneath the surface it is bursting, forming, preparing for the light. Your inner conversations, the assumptions you persist in despite appearances, are the blueprints of your unfolding life. If you hold the end so firmly that you feel it as real, then the world is obligated to reflect it. It has no choice. Reality bends to the one who refuses to surrender their inner state. This is why it is essential to keep going. Not because the path is hard, but because the harvest is already yours. You are merely walking to where it has been placed. Every day you persist, every moment you return to the end, every time you choose the feeling of fulfillment over the evidence of delay, you accelerate the process. You become aligned with what is meant for you. And let me remind you, the greatest movements happen when nothing seems to be happening at all. The phone call you need, the opportunity forming, the person deciding, the shift arranging, the doors preparing to open. All of this is in motion long before it reaches your senses. Life does not reveal the construction phase, it shows you only the finished product. That is why faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. So hold your vision, return to it often, live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, become the version of you who already has what you desire. When your inner state is consistent, your outer world must bow to it. It must reorganize itself to match the reality you have assumed. You are closer than you think. You are standing in the hallway between your old story and your new manifestation. And though hallways feel empty, they lead to rooms already prepared for you. And your unseen world is far more alive and active than you realize. While the external world appears to move at its own pace, the true work, the real orchestration of your life, is happening in the invisible realm. Every thought you think, every feeling you harbor, every assumption you carry quietly shapes the foundation upon which your future unfolds. It is easy to mistake the lack of immediate evidence as stagnation, but what is unseen operates on a timeline that does not conform to your impatience. The pieces are being arranged long before your senses perceive any movement, and the subtle mechanics of reality are quietly aligning themselves with the state you have embraced internally. The unseen world responds not to your fleeting desires or passing whims, but to the beliefs you hold as true. When you imagine a scene vividly and feel it as if it already exists, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of the invisible. That seed, nurtured by the consistency of your attention and feeling, begins to grow and organize itself into a pattern that must eventually manifest. The moment it takes form externally is not the beginning of its existence. It is merely the unveiling of what has already been completed behind the scenes. This is why it is so critical to guard your inner life, to protect it from doubt and distraction. The unseen does not negotiate. It obeys the laws of consciousness precisely. Often, life appears to lag, and the delay can tempt you to abandon your inner work. Yet, these pauses are never signs of failure. They are the quiet periods of construction, the moments when the threads of your desire are being woven together in ways too intricate for the human eye to detect. Like an artist meticulously sketching a masterpiece before the first stroke of color is visible, the unseen world is preparing the environment, the circumstances, and even the people who will serve your vision. Everything is moving, though it may feel as if nothing is. Understanding this requires a shift in perspective. You are not waiting for the world to act on your behalf. The world is responding to the state you inhabit. If your mind is scattered, your feelings inconsistent, your belief fragile, then the unseen will hesitate, adjust, or delay its work. But when you embody the reality you desire with unwavering conviction, every unseen element aligns, doors begin to open, opportunities appear, coincidences multiply, and what once seemed impossible starts to feel inevitable. The unseen world is patient and precise. It does not rush or stumble. It operates with perfect timing and infinite wisdom. Your role is not to force it or to constantly question it, but to maintain your state of faith, clarity, and inner knowing. The unseen has already completed what you seek. Your task is to persist in the awareness of that completion, to live as if it has already arrived, and to trust that the manifestation will follow naturally. Every delayed sign, every apparent obstacle is simply part of the unseen arrangement, orchestrating events, people, and circumstances with precision. When you grasp this truth, you move with serenity rather than anxiety, knowing that your desires are being fulfilled, even before the evidence is visible. The unseen is alive, responsive, and always working in your favor. The faith, persistence, and unwavering attention ensure that when the time is right, the evidence will finally appear, revealing the intricate work that has been quietly unfolding all along. Everything you experience in life begins as an assumption within your own consciousness. The thoughts you habitually entertain, the beliefs you quietly nurture, and the inner images you persistently dwell upon act as the architects of your external reality. Life does not randomly happen to you. It is a reflection of what you hold as true in your mind. Every circumstance, every relationship, every event is ultimately a mirror of your internal assumption. What you accept internally as real will inevitably manifest externally, because the world outside is merely a shadow of the world within. Assumptions are not just fleeting thoughts. They are powerful forces that shape the foundation upon which your entire life is built. When you assume something will occur, when you hold it as an inevitable reality, your subconscious mind begins to organize your experiences around that assumption. It aligns your actions, your perceptions, and even the behavior of others with the reality you have chosen internally. Conversely, doubts, fears, and contradictory assumptions produce a life that reflects uncertainty, struggle, and delay. The key lies not in the effort you expend outwardly, but in the consistency of the inner state you maintain. Persistence in your assumptions is the true measure of creative power. A single fleeting thought may spark an idea, but it is the continued, unwavering assumption of a desired outcome that establishes the stage on which your life unfolds. Like a director carefully planning every scene of a play, your internal assumptions dictate the scenery, the actors, and the sequence of events. If you persist in imagining success, fulfillment, and harmony, your external circumstances will gradually conspire to support that vision. If your assumptions are filled with lack, fear, or doubt, your environment will reflect the same. The universe does not argue with what you assume, it simply brings forth the circumstances that match your persistent inner state. The moment you realize that your inner world is the blueprint of your outer life, you gain control over the seemingly uncontrollable. You begin to see that external chaos is merely the result of conflicting or unexamined assumptions. By consciously choosing what you assume and maintaining that assumption with faith, you begin to reshape the stage of your life. You become the playwright, director, and lead actor in your own unfolding story. Each day, every thought, every feeling contributes to the setting, the plot, and the outcome. It is also essential to understand that this process does not always produce immediate results. The outer world must align with your inner assumption in its own time and manner, often beyond your immediate perception. Yet, the power of persistence ensures that no matter how long it takes, the life that corresponds to your inner assumption will manifest. Your assumption, held firmly and lived consistently, becomes a gravitational force, drawing circumstances, people, and events into alignment with your vision. The stage on which your life stands is not created by chance, effort, or external conditions. It is constructed entirely by what you assume and persist in internally. Your outer world is the inevitable reflection of your inner state. The clarity, consistency, and conviction with which you hold your assumptions determine not only the scenery and events, but also the quality of your entire life experience. To master your life, therefore, is to master your assumptions and persist in them with unwavering belief, knowing that the world around you will faithfully mirror the reality you have chosen within. Delays are often misunderstood. When something you deeply desire does not arrive as quickly as you expect, it is easy to assume that life is against you, that your dreams are slipping away, or that your efforts are in vain. Yet, delays are not denials. They are the hidden, quiet construction of your desire, the unseen preparation that must take place before the manifestation can appear in your physical reality. Every delay has a purpose. It is a sign that the process of creation is moving with precision unseen by your senses, and that the fulfillment of your desire is being meticulously arranged. The outer world operates on visible evidence, but the inner world operates on assumption, feeling, and faith. Your desires are first established in the invisible realm, and before they can be reflected outside, they require alignment at every level: mental, emotional, and spiritual. Delays are the silent period in which this alignment occurs. They are the time when circumstances are being ordered, opportunities are being prepared, and people and events are being guided into their proper positions. What appears as waiting or stagnation is actually an active, deliberate process in the unseen realm, working to bring your inner vision into exact harmony with reality. It is important to recognize that delays are not accidental. They occur because your desire is being perfected, because the timing must be right for the fullest expression of your vision. Rushing the process or succumbing to doubt can disrupt this delicate unfolding. On the other hand, Patience and persistence strengthen your inner alignment. Each day that you continue to embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, each moment you maintain faith instead of frustration, you are accelerating the unseen construction of your desire. The delay is simply a necessary stage, ensuring that what comes forth will be complete, abundant, and perfectly timed. Many fail to see the wisdom in delays because they judge reality by appearances alone. They expect immediate results and become anxious or discouraged when none arrive. But the truth is that what is coming for you is already finished in the unseen. It simply must follow the sequence of preparation before it can manifest visibly. Think of it like a building under construction. The framework, the plumbing, the wiring, all essential elements must be installed before the walls can be painted. To focus solely on the visible result is to miss the importance of the preparation happening behind the scenes. Understanding that delays are not denials allows you to maintain peace, clarity, and faith during the waiting period. You begin to see that every pause, every moment of apparent inactivity is actually a sign that your desire is being organized, refined, and brought into form with absolute precision. The unseen forces are working tirelessly, silently, and with perfect intelligence to deliver exactly what you have assumed and persisted in. So rather than becoming anxious or disheartened by the absence of immediate evidence, recognize that delays are a natural and necessary part of manifestation. They are the quiet construction, the meticulous preparation, and the invisible arrangement of all that you seek. When the time is right, your desire will appear, not as a fragment, but as the complete, fully formed reality that has been quietly constructed in your favor. Delays are simply the prelude to your ultimate victory, a reminder that the unseen world is always working, always building, and always bringing your dreams into perfect expression. For Albright, your inner state is the true cause of everything you experience, while outer circumstances are merely its shadow, a reflection of the reality you carry within. Too often, people look to the external world for evidence of their desires, believing that conditions must first change before they can feel fulfilled, confident, or happy. Yet this is a reversal of truth. It is not the world that creates your state. It is your state that creates the world. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions act as the invisible blueprint, and life itself obeys the patterns you maintain internally. What you see outside is always secondary. It is a mirror, an echo, a shadow cast by the inner reality you cultivate. This principle explains why two people can live in seemingly identical circumstances yet experience life in completely different ways. One may see struggle and limitation, while the other sees opportunity and abundance. The difference is not in the external world, it is in the state each person occupies within. Your inner state is powerful because it determines how you interpret every event, how you respond to every situation, and how you attract experiences into your life. Outer circumstances cannot dictate your reality unless you allow them to influence your internal state. The outer world is consistent only with the inner world. If you persist in fear, doubt, or frustration, you will see evidence of these states reflected in your life. If you maintain a sense of certainty, faith, and fulfillment, the world will adjust accordingly. This does not mean that challenges disappear, but it does mean that your perception, response, and the ultimate outcome are shaped by the inner state you occupy. The shadow cannot act independently. It can only mirror what is already established within. Understanding this shifts the locus of control from external events to your consciousness. Instead of reacting to what happens outside, you focus on what you hold inside. Your imagination, your assumptions, and your feelings become the instruments of creation. When you inhabit the end result, when you live and feel as if your desires are already realized, the outer world is compelled to correspond. It cannot resist the magnetic force of a sustained inner state. This is why the inner world must be treated with reverence and discipline, for it is the soil in which every experience grows. Many fail to grasp this because they equate seeing with believing. They wait for proof before they feel confident. They wait for circumstances before they feel worthy. They wait for opportunity before they feel successful. But this is backward. The proof always follows the cause. The seed must be planted, nurtured, and matured before the fruit appears. Your inner state is that seed, and the outer world is its inevitable harvest. By focusing on your inner state, you reclaim power over your life. You no longer depend on shifting circumstances to dictate your peace, your joy, or your fate. You cultivate a consciousness that generates its own reality, knowing that everything external is simply a reflection of what is firmly established within. Outer circumstances are powerless to resist a consistent inner state. They may wobble, they may resist temporarily, but eventually the shadow aligns perfectly with the light of your consciousness. To master your life, therefore, is to master your inner state. To shift your experience is not to battle external conditions, but to harmonize your mind, heart, and imagination with the reality you desire. When your inner state is unwavering, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Your inner world is the true cause. The outer world is merely its faithful shadow. When you refuse to fold, when you hold fast to your vision, your conviction, and your inner state despite every challenge or appearance of delay, reality has no choice but to bend toward your persistence. Persistence is not merely stubbornness or blind effort. It is a sustained inner assumption, a refusal to abandon the feeling of the end you desire. When you maintain this inner fidelity, the universe, which is always responsive to consciousness, begins to adjust, rearrange, and align everything in perfect accordance with the reality you have assumed. What seems immovable in the outer world cannot withstand the consistent pressure of an unwavering inner state. The world often tests your resolve. Appearances may suggest resistance. Circumstances may seem contrary, and people may fail to respond as you expect. These are not signs that your dream is impossible or that the universe is uncooperative. They are tests of your commitment, invitations to strengthen your inner state, and opportunities to demonstrate that your belief in the unseen is greater than your reliance on the visible. When you persist, when you refuse to fold, you are signaling to the unseen realm that your desire is no longer negotiable. This refusal to yield creates a magnetic force that reality cannot resist. Persistence operates on a level beyond effort or struggle. It is the unshakable awareness that what you desire is already yours in the unseen, and the determination to maintain that awareness regardless of outer appearances. Every thought, feeling, and action that aligns with this inner state adds pressure to reality. The outer world, which reflects your inner assumptions, is compelled to comply with the law of correspondence. In essence, the universe has no choice but to bend, slowly or suddenly, to match the reality you continue to inhabit internally. Many give up too soon because they are seduced by the evidence of their senses. They look at delays, obstacles, or a lack of visible progress and interpret it as failure. But the truth is that the unseen is always working. It is merely following its own timeline. The person who refuses to fold becomes a force of inevitability. Their steadfast inner assumption creates a momentum that the outer world must ultimately acknowledge. Doors open, opportunities present themselves, circumstances shift, and people respond, all as a natural consequence of inner persistence. Refusal to fold is not passive, it is active faith. It requires discipline to return repeatedly to the feeling of the end, to inhabit the reality you desire, even when external proof is absent. It requires courage to stand firm in your conviction while the world seems to resist. Yet this very act, this unwavering persistence, sets in motion the invisible currents that bring your desire into manifestation. The outer world may lag, it may challenge, and it may delay, but it cannot withstand the consistent, conscious pressure of a mind and heart aligned with their true desire. Persistence breaks through. What once appeared immovable yields. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Reality, which once seemed indifferent, now conspires in your favor. When you refuse to fold, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You become the magnet, the orchestrator, and the cause of the unfolding reality. The universe bends, rearranges, and cooperates, not because it is forced, but because persistence in consciousness is the law to which all things must obey. Your steadfast refusal to fold ensures that the world outside becomes a faithful reflection of the unyielding truth you hold within. Everything you desire already exists. It is complete, whole, and perfect within the realm of your imagination. The fulfillment of your dreams is not something that is waiting to be created in the external world. It has already been formed in the invisible. What appears as delay, waiting, or struggle in the outer world is simply the unfolding of a process that has already been completed internally. You are not creating your desire from scratch. You are aligning yourself with a reality that already exists, walking toward the unveiling of what has been quietly perfected within your consciousness. To understand this, you must first recognize the power of the mind and imagination. Every circumstance, event, and experience in your life originates from your inner state. The desires you hold, the visions you entertain, and the assumptions you persist in are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. These seeds are not partial or incomplete. They exist as fully grown realities within the invisible. The act of imagining, feeling, and assuming is the acknowledgement that your desire is already a fact. The outer world simply takes time to conform to the internal truth you have established. The journey toward manifestation is a journey of alignment, not creation. You are not waiting for new conditions or external validations. You are walking into the realization of what has already been accomplished within. Your role is to embody the state of the wish fulfilled, to feel the joy, satisfaction, and completeness of your desire now, before the world presents it as evidence. By doing so, you create a magnetic field that draws the invisible into the visible, that brings the already finished into tangible form. Delays are not denials. They are simply the time it takes for the world outside to mirror what has been long completed inside. Many struggle because they look to the external world for confirmation, believing that fulfillment must appear first in their circumstances. They chase results, react to obstacles, and measure progress by appearances. This is a reversal of the natural order. The unseen is the cause, the seen is the effect. By living in alignment with the end result, by assuming it internally as already true, you set in motion the forces that allow the external world to catch up with the internal reality. You are walking along a path that has already been paved. Each step is a conscious participation in the manifestation of what is already complete. This perspective changes the way you respond to challenges, delays, and setbacks. You no longer see them as proof of lack, but as part of the natural unfolding of your finished desire. Patience is not passive. It is an active acknowledgement that the inner reality is already perfect. Every thought, every feeling, and every choice becomes an opportunity to reinforce the state of fulfillment you hold within. You are constantly moving toward the revelation, the unveiling, and the expression of that which exists invisibly but completely. And unlike the inherent enormity curse, which is that theft of your desires are not distant goals to be chased, they are present realities to be assumed. Everything you long for is already finished within you. The world outside is simply catching up to your inner truth. By maintaining faith, by living in the feeling of the end, and by walking with unwavering belief, you allow the external circumstances to align naturally with the perfection that already exists internally. You are not creating something new. You are witnessing the inevitable unveiling of what has long been complete. In conclusion, the journey of manifestation is not about forcing circumstances or chasing results. It is about cultivating the inner state that aligns with the reality you desire. Every delay, every unseen arrangement, and every challenge is simply part of the quiet orchestration happening behind the scenes. Your assumptions, persistence, and unwavering faith are the true forces shaping your life. When you hold your vision, embody the feeling of the end, and refuse to fold, reality has no choice but to respond. Everything you desire is already complete within. Your task is to maintain faith, stay aligned, and patiently walk toward its unveiling. The outer world is simply the reflection of your inner state, and as long as you remain steadfast, the manifestation of your desires is inevitable. Thank you for listening, and may you continue to trust the unseen and keep moving forward with faith and persistence. There comes a point in every journey when it seems like nothing is working. You've prayed, believed, visualized, and still no sign. But listen carefully. Everything is coming together for you, even now. The delays, detours, and disappointments are not denials. They are divine rearrangements. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. In the unseen realm, forces are moving, threads are weaving, and pathways are forming in your favor. The universe is orchestrating a symphony you cannot yet hear. Just because your physical eyes see no change does not mean nothing is happening. What you cannot see is often more powerful than what you can. There is a sacred law. What you hold in your inner world must eventually manifest in your outer one. The seed planted in faith cannot die. It must grow when nurtured by persistence. Your imagination is the workshop of creation. Every image you hold in your mind with feeling and belief is forming substance in the invisible. When you imagine yourself already successful, already healed, already at peace, something within you shifts. That shift is not make-believe, it is creation in motion. You become magnetized to that reality, and that reality becomes magnetized to you. The unseen begins to shape itself into form. Do not be deceived by appearances. Many give up because they believe the silence means rejection. But the silence is not rejection, it's preparation. The universe takes time to align every detail so that when the blessing comes, it fits perfectly, effortlessly. Your role is not to rush it, but to remain faithful to your inner conviction. When everything seems darkest, when doubt whispers that it's useless to go on, that's the moment to stand firm, because the night always turns into morning, and you are closer than you think. The energy of faith is cumulative. Every act of belief adds momentum to your unfolding miracle. Keep affirming. It's already done. My path is clear. Everything is coming together for my good. Speak it, even when nothing supports it. Feel it, even when you see no sign of it, because your feeling is the evidence of the unseen. Remember this, it's easy to believe when things look good, but true power is believing when nothing looks possible. That's when creation happens. That's when the invisible becomes visible. That's when you prove the divine power within you. So, don't give up. Don't surrender your vision to temporary conditions. The waiting is not wasted. It's the womb of your next miracle. Keep imagining, keep believing, keep moving forward with quiet confidence. Because one day soon you'll look back and realize every delay, every tear, every test was necessary to bring you here, to the fulfillment of everything you once imagined. Everything is coming together for you. Don't give up, just keep going. Everything begins in the unseen. Long before a flower blooms, the seed rests quietly beneath the surface, hidden from sight, yet filled with purpose. The same is true for your desires. What you long for, peace, success, healing, love, abundance, already exists in the invisible realm, waiting for you to recognize it as yours. The moment you believe and feel it as real within, you activate the divine power that transforms the unseen into the seen. Nothing ever appears in your outer life that was not first accepted in your inner world. You may not realize it, but every thought, every feeling, every assumption you hold is creative. The mind is not a passive observer. It is a spiritual workshop where reality is shaped. When you close your eyes and imagine a life of fulfillment, and when that vision feels natural to you, you are doing the most powerful work there is. You are not daydreaming. You are constructing. You are setting in motion an unseen chain of events that will ultimately rearrange circumstances to match what you have already accepted within. The invisible realm is more real than the visible, for it is the source from which all things arise. Every great invention, every piece of art, every world-changing idea began first as an image in the unseen. The same divine process works in your life. When you choose to believe that your desire already exists, when you feel the joy of its fulfillment in your heart, you are aligning yourself, the energy of creation itself. The outer world cannot resist this alignment for long. It must eventually reflect what you persistently hold as true. The key is faith, not as blind hope, but as inner knowing. Faith is the quiet confidence that even though you cannot yet see it, the reality you've claimed is already complete in spirit. You don't need to strive or struggle. You only need to remain faithful to that inner picture. The more you revisit it, feel it, and dwell in it, the stronger its pull becomes. Life begins to rearrange itself. People appear, opportunities arise, and doors open seemingly by coincidence. But nothing is accidental. You have called it forth by the creative power of your belief. Never be deceived by appearances. The invisible comes first, and the visible merely follows. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the process. Likewise, trust that your unseen creation is unfolding perfectly. Hold to the feeling of already having it, and your faith will translate the unseen into form. You are not waiting for creation to happen, you are living within it now. Every fulfilled desire begins as an inner conviction. When you believe and feel as though it is already yours, the universe cannot help but mirror that truth back to you. What you desire is not far away. It is already formed, awaiting your recognition. Creation begins in the invisible, and once you accept that, you become the conscious author of your destiny. Delay is never denial. What looks like nothing happening is often everything happening behind the scenes. Life has its own rhythm, a divine timing that cannot be rushed or delayed. When you feel stuck or uncertain, when doors seem closed or paths unclear, understand that you are not being punished, you are being prepared. What feels like a pause is really a process. The universe is rearranging people, events, and circumstances to align perfectly with the outcome you've envisioned. Every dream has a gestation period. Just as nature requires time to turn a seed into a tree, your desires need time to take root and mature. You cannot force a flower to bloom before its season, and you cannot rush divine timing. When you believe something isn't working because you cannot see movement, you misunderstand how creation operates. The invisible work must always come first. The delay is a sacred part of the unfolding. It ensures that when your desire manifests, it will arrive in wholeness, not in fragments. When you begin to live from faith instead of frustration, you start to see the beauty of divine timing. What looks like stagnation is often alignment, pieces being placed in the right order, opportunities being prepared, and people being guided to cross your path. The universe operates with precision. Nothing is random. The timing that seems late is often the timing that saves you from mistakes, teaches you deeper trust, and prepares you to handle the blessing when it arrives. If everything came instantly, you would never develop patience, wisdom, or gratitude. The waiting season refines you. It strengthens your faith and clears away resistance. Many times the universe delays what you ask for because it wants to give you more than what you imagined. While you think nothing is happening, everything is being arranged for your ultimate good. The very obstacles that seem to stand in your way are often guiding you toward a greater path than the one you originally planned. You must learn to trust the divine sequence. When your heart says yes, but life says wait, hold on to your vision. Keep your inner faith alive, even when the outer world gives you no evidence. The moment you begin to doubt, remind yourself, what's meant for you cannot miss you. Every delay carries divine intelligence. It's not the universe saying no, it's saying not yet. And when not yet becomes now, it will make perfect sense. Do not measure progress by sight alone. The unseen alignment is working with precision beyond your understanding. The job, the opportunity, the relationship, the dream, it's all in motion, moving toward you even as you wait. You are not forgotten, you are being positioned. Keep believing, keep trusting, and keep preparing as though it's already done. Because one day the doors will open effortlessly, and you'll realize that every delay was a setup for perfect timing. The universe never denies. Persistence is the invisible bridge that connects what you desire to what you eventually experience. Every dream, every goal, every manifestation passes through the corridor of persistence before it becomes reality. Many begin with passion and enthusiasm, but only those who persist, those who hold the vision in the face of delay, doubt, and disappointment, reach the fulfillment of what they imagine. The journey between desire and manifestation is not about struggle, but about steadfast faith. It is about standing firm in your inner conviction, even when the outer world gives you no reason to believe. When you persist in faith, you declare that your inner reality is more powerful than external circumstances. You may not yet see the results, but you continue to feel and live as though the promise is already fulfilled. That unwavering state of belief creates a magnetic force that draws your vision into form. The universe responds not to fleeting wishes, but to consistent conviction. Persistence tells creation, I already know this is mine, and the unseen forces align accordingly. Most people give up not because their dream was impossible, but because they surrendered to appearances. They look at the lack, the delay, the difficulty, and assume it means failure. But appearances are only the temporary shadows of your old thoughts. When you persist in a new state of belief long enough, those shadows dissolve and a new reality emerges. Every great creator understands this. What you assume to be true and persist in as though it were already done must harden into fact. Persistence is not forcing or begging, it is quiet confidence. It is the calm assurance that comes from knowing the law of creation cannot fail. You may fall, you may grow weary, but you return to the feeling of fulfillment again and again until it becomes natural. You persist in thought until it becomes your automatic state. And once the mind accepts it as normal, life reflects it as fact. Every obstacle you face tests your persistence. Every delay whispers, do you still believe? And your answer must always be yes. Keep imagining. Keep affirming. Keep walking by faith and not by sight. The universe rewards those who refuse to let temporary appearances dictate their truth. The more you persist, the more powerful your belief becomes, and the stronger the bridge between desire and manifestation grows. Persistence is not about time. It's about depth. It's about how deeply you've accepted your vision as already real. The person who persists without wavering steps directly into the reality they once imagined. So do not be discouraged by how long it takes. Stay faithful to your inner vision, because once your inner world is consistent, the outer must conform. Those who persist in faith, regardless of appearances, always walk straight into the world they've imagined. Assume the feeling of fulfillment, and you begin to live from the end rather than toward it. To assume is to accept inwardly that what you desire is already yours, that it has already happened in the unseen realm. This is not pretending or wishful thinking, it is a shift in consciousness. The moment you feel the reality of your desire, you awaken the creative power within that draws circumstances, people, and opportunities into harmony with that state. Your inner world becomes the blueprint that the outer world must eventually follow. Most people live in a constant state of wanting. They speak, think, and feel from lack, hoping for change, but never assuming the change has already occurred. Yet the law of creation works through assumption. What you feel yourself to be determines what you will experience. If you feel poor, you continue to attract lack. If you feel unloved, you continue to attract rejection. But the instant you assume the feeling of already having your desire, wealth, love, success, peace, you activate the unseen forces that transform your world to match that vibration. Feeling is the secret key. Words alone do not create, emotion does. When your imagination and feeling become one, you move creation from potential to reality. Close your eyes and live inwardly as though your dream were already fulfilled. Feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude of it is done. Dwell in that emotion until it feels natural, until you no longer crave it because you have already become it in consciousness. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to states of being. When you assume the feeling of fulfillment, you are no longer chasing your desire, you are radiating it. The world reflects back what you are, not what you wish for. Every time you return to that inner state, you strengthen its magnetic pull. Outer circumstances begin to shift subtly at first, then dramatically, as everything reorganizes itself to match the frequency you are emitting. What once seemed impossible begins to flow effortlessly, because your assumption has become your reality. Doubt will try to invade your mind. Appearances will tempt you to revert to old feelings of lack or worry. But the key is persistence in your assumption. Return to the feeling of fulfillment again and again until it dominates your awareness. Even if nothing seems to change, keep living from the end. The unseen realm responds to consistency. Your sustained assumption becomes the command that the universe must obey. This is the art of conscious creation. To dwell in the state of already having, to feel the victory before the battle, to embody the answered prayer before it appears. Once your inner world accepts it as truth, your outer world cannot resist reflecting it. Live inwardly as though the dream has already come true, and soon what was once invisible will stand before you as undeniable reality. The middle is the hardest, but also the holiest. It's the space between believing and receiving, the stretch between the promise and its fulfillment. It's where doubt whispers loudest, where patience is tested, and where faith must stand alone. Yet even though it feels like nothing is happening, everything is happening. The invisible construction site of your destiny is alive and active, arranging every piece of your future with divine precision. You cannot yet see the blueprint, but heaven is building in silence. The middle feels hard because it asks you to trust without proof. It asks you to walk by faith when sight gives you no encouragement. This is where many give up, not because the dream was impossible, but because the silence convinced them it was over. But silence is not absence. Stillness is not stagnation. When life seems quiet and motionless, it's often when divine movement is at its peak. The unseen world is busy aligning every detail, every person, and every opportunity required for your manifestation. In this sacred in-between, your inner state matters most. You are being refined, strengthened, and prepared for what you've asked for. The middle is not punishment, it's preparation. You're being molded into the version of yourself capable of holding the blessing. What you call delay is actually transformation. The universe is making sure that when the door opens, you're ready to walk through it with wisdom, gratitude, and strength. Every masterpiece requires time to take form. The builder doesn't panic when the foundation is being laid, even though there's nothing beautiful to see yet. The same is true for your life. The groundwork of your destiny is being set beneath the surface. The waiting season is where your faith becomes real. It's where belief evolves from theory to truth. The middle teaches you how to stand on unseen ground and trust that what you planted in faith will bloom in divine timing. In these moments, resist the urge to complain or despair. Instead, become still and remind yourself something sacred is happening behind the scenes. Your prayers were heard the first time you spoke them. The answer is unfolding in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Every silence is filled with divine activity. Every pause has purpose. So hold steady. Keep your heart fixed on the vision even when nothing seems to support it. Keep speaking life, keep imagining, keep thanking as if it were already done. The middle may feel like the hardest part of the journey, but it's also the holiest. It's where faith matures, where patience deepens, and where you are quietly shaped into the vessel that can carry your miracle. One day, you look back and realize that the middle wasn't a delay, it was the place where the invisible became visible. Your faith is the architect of your reality. Every thought you hold as true, every belief you nurture within, becomes a line drawn on the blueprint of your life. Faith is the silent designer behind every visible outcome. It builds, shapes, and constructs the world you live in, brick by brick, moment by moment. You may not realize it, but your outer world is always mirroring your inner conviction. What you accept as true, whether good or bad, becomes your experience. Life does not respond to chance. It responds to belief. Faith is not something you try to have, it's something you embody. It is the unwavering trust that what you have envisioned is already complete, even before your senses can confirm it. When you believe deeply enough, the unseen begins to solidify into form. Every time you choose faith over fear, you rewrite your destiny. Fear builds walls, but faith builds bridges. Fear limits, faith expands. Fear sees lack, faith sees completion. And the one you entertain the longest becomes the foundation of your reality. When you believe that you are guided, provided for, and supported by divine intelligence, life starts to move in harmony with that truth. Opportunities appear, people arrive, and doors open, not because of luck, but because your faith created the pathway for them. The moment you accept something as true within, you instruct the universe to rearrange itself to make it visible without. You become the architect and the builder of your own destiny. There will always be moments when appearances contradict your belief. You may face delays, setbacks, or silence. But that's where true faith is tested and strengthened. Faith does not depend on sight. It thrives in the unseen. It remains steady when the evidence says otherwise. To keep believing in the face of doubt is to hold the line of creation. It is to say, I know what I have accepted as true, and I will not be moved. That persistence in conviction bends reality to your will. You must understand that life mirrors your inner dialogue. If you constantly affirm fear, limitation, or defeat, you draw more of the same. But if you affirm victory, abundance, and peace, even when circumstances deny it, you are sketching a new design for your life. Every act of belief, every moment of inner certainty adds another stroke to the divine blueprint. Eventually, what you've drawn in faith will be built in experience. Eventually, what you've drawn in faith will be built in experience. So guard your thoughts and nurture your belief. Choose to see beyond appearances. Keep believing, even when logic fails you. The unseen is always stronger than the seen, and faith will always outlast fear. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the architect of them. Stand firm in your conviction, knowing that what you believe becomes what you build. Faith is the hand that drafts the plan, and life itself is the structure that rises to match it. In the end, everything you've ever desired, prayed for, or imagined is already in motion. The unseen world is working tirelessly on your behalf, aligning every detail to fulfill the vision you've held within. Every delay has purpose. Every challenge refines you, and every silent season builds your strength. Nothing has been wasted. The dream you've been nurturing in faith is not in vain. It's being constructed in the invisible, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. So keep believing, keep imagining, and keep moving forward with quiet confidence. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not behind. You are right on schedule. Creation began the moment you believed, and it continues to unfold through your persistence and unwavering faith. The universe responds to conviction, not confusion, to faith, not fear. Walk as though it's already done, speak as though it's already yours, feel as though it's already complete, because in truth, it is. The bridge between where you are and where you're going is built on trust. And as you hold fast to that faith, life will mirror your belief with beauty, abundance, and divine perfection. Everything is coming together for you. Stay patient, stay faithful, and never give up, because what's meant for you cannot miss you. Thank you for listening, and remember, your faith is the key. Your imagination is the blueprint, and your persistence is the power that makes all things possible. Keep going. Your miracle is already on its way. There comes a moment in every person's life when the unseen begins to whisper louder than the visible. A moment when something inside you rises gently but unmistakably, and you know, without needing proof, that life is reordering itself for your good. This is not imagination in the weak sense. It is the divine impression of what is already unfolding. When God shifts things in your favor, the first evidence is not outside, it is within you. You begin to notice a quiet rearranging of your inner world. The fear that once felt so loud starts to lose its authority. The doubts that try to anchor you begin to loosen their grip. Suddenly, you feel an inner permission to hope again. You sense that your desires are not accidents. They are previews of what God has already made ready for you. The longing in your heart turns from yearning into knowing. This inner shift is the first sign that the outer world is about to reflect a new pattern. Then, without forcing anything, life starts to feel lighter. What once felt like pushing a boulder uphill begins to move with unexpected ease. The right conversations appear, new people enter your life, and solutions show up before you even ask the questions. This is not coincidence, it is divine movement. It is the rearrangement of circumstances aligning themselves with the new truth you've accepted within. When God is shifting things in your favor, struggle ceases to be your teacher and ease becomes your companion. Another sign is the opening of doors that resisted you for years. Opportunities that once denied you now search for you. Paths that seemed impossible suddenly make space for your steps. You begin to realize that nothing was blocked. Everything was simply waiting for the moment you became aligned with what God had already ordained. Every no was preparing you for a better yes. Every delay was shaping the version of you capable of carrying the blessing. And then comes the most powerful sign of all. Your desires stop feeling distant, they become familiar, as if they have already come to pass. You find yourself thinking from the desire, not of the desire. You no longer wish for the blessing, you inhabit it internally. You walk with a new posture, a new expectation, a new inner certainty. This is the spiritual confirmation that what you hold within must appear without. God never places a desire in your heart without also preparing the fulfillment. As you move through your days, you begin to experience divine alignment. Moments of perfect timing appear with such precision that you can only smile. A message arrives at the exact second you needed it. A connection forms at the perfect moment. A situation resolves itself in ways you couldn't have engineered if you tried. These alignments are the fingerprints of God, marking every step of your journey. But perhaps the greatest sign is a quiet confidence, an unshakable peace that settles over you. You can't explain it to anyone, but you feel something working for you, through you, and ahead of you. You know that what you once prayed for is now pursuing you. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you believe. You don't force, you allow. You have stepped into the flow of divine favor. So if you're noticing these signs, if you feel the inner shift, if life is softening around you, if doors are cracking open, if your desires feel closer, if alignment is showing up in small details, and if confidence is rising within you, know this: God is not preparing to shift things in your favor. He already has. The results are now on their way to you. Stand firm in this truth. Hold your vision with reverence. Trust the unseen with boldness. For everything you have carried in faith is now carrying you into its fulfillment. God is moving, aligning, orchestrating, and unfolding every detail in your favor. Your time is not just coming, your time has begun. The greatest evidence that your life is about to change is not found in circumstances, signs, or external breakthroughs. It begins within you. Long before anything around you shifts, something inside you starts to awaken. It happens quietly, subtly, and almost imperceptibly at first. You begin to feel differently about your life, your potential, and your future. What once felt impossible now feels reachable. Now, what once felt distant now feels near. This inner stirring is not random. It is the spiritual announcement that transformation has already begun. You notice that your old reactions no longer have the same power. Things that once triggered fear, insecurity, or frustration no longer dominate your emotional landscape. You start catching yourself responding differently, more calmly, more confidently, more intentionally. This is not you becoming someone new, this is you returning to who you were created to be. Transformation always begins with identity, not with circumstances. When God shifts things in your favor, He first shifts your self-perception, because your outer world can never rise higher than your inner belief. Your desires start to feel more aligned and more purposeful. You no longer crave things to fill a void. You desire them because you finally understand they are meant for you. You begin to realize that the longing in your heart is not an ache of lack, but an echo of divine completion. The dream inside you starts to feel like a memory rather than a fantasy. You find yourself imagining what it would be like to already have what you once prayed for. And this imagination brings peace instead of anxiety. That shift from wanting to knowing is a powerful indicator of impending change. Your conversations with yourself evolve. You speak with more faith and less doubt. You uplift yourself instead of tearing yourself down. You begin to talk about your future as if it is certain, not as if it is fragile. You rehearse new possibilities in your mind and let go of the narrative that kept you small. These internal dialogues are not insignificant. They are spiritual seeds. The moment your self-talk changes, your destiny begins to reshape itself. You also start feeling a nudge toward new habits, new environments, and new decisions. The things that once satisfied you no longer do. The places that once felt comfortable now feel constricting. You feel an inner pull to elevate your standards, your expectations, and your spiritual alignment. This inner dissatisfaction is not punishment, it is preparation. It is God's way of signaling that your old life cannot contain the magnitude of what He is about to release into your new one. There is a rising sense of peace that replaces your old restlessness. You begin to trust the timing of your life instead of fearing it. You feel guided, supported, and surrounded, even when nothing around you has visibly changed yet. This quiet confidence is the inner shift that precedes every major breakthrough. It is the soul's certainty that what you have accepted within must manifest without. When your inner world transforms, your outer world has no choice but to follow. Transformation begins in the unseen, but it always finishes in the visible. Your inner shift is not just a first sign, it is the guarantee that everything around you is about to align with the new truth you now carry. Life has a way of showing us when a shift is occurring, and one of the clearest signs that God is moving everything in your favor is the arrival of unexpected ease. What once felt like a constant uphill battle begins to change, almost imperceptibly at first. You notice that tasks which once required struggle, anxiety, and relentless effort start to flow with surprising simplicity. Opportunities that used to seem out of reach now present themselves effortlessly. The weight of resistance that defined your past begins to lift, replaced by a rhythm that feels natural, even inevitable. This ease is not a coincidence. It is the reflection of divine alignment with your inner state, responding to the consciousness you have cultivated within. The shift toward ease begins in your perception of life itself, where before you may have seen obstacles, delays, or limitations, you start noticing openings, pathways, and possibilities. Things that once seemed complicated now appear straightforward. Solutions come to you without forcing them, and challenges reveal themselves as temporary rather than permanent. This is the moment when struggle no longer defines your reality and life begins to move in harmony with your intention. Divine favor does not always change the circumstances immediately, but it transforms the way you experience them, making what once felt difficult suddenly manageable. As this ease becomes more evident, you start noticing synchronicities in your everyday life. People, events, and resources begin to appear at precisely the right moment. Conversations happen at the perfect time. Doors that were previously closed start opening, and you find yourself in the right place with the right people without effort. These signs are proof that the universe is responding to the energy you emit. Your focus, your faith, and your inner acceptance of your desired outcome create a gravitational pull that aligns circumstances in your favor. What once required brute force now unfolds naturally because divine support has stepped in to guide the way. Your mindset itself contributes to this unexpected ease. As you release resistance, doubt, and fear, you allow room for grace to operate. You realize that pushing and forcing only prolongs struggle, while trusting and allowing brings solutions quickly and quietly. When you stop wrestling with life and start moving in sync with its flow, doors open more readily, opportunities arrive with less effort, and your own confidence grows because you begin to witness the power of alignment at work. This is how God works, by rearranging conditions so that your actions are met with less friction and more fulfillment. And it's this conviction that friction means even your relationship with time changes. Tasks that used to take hours are completed more efficiently. Decisions that once caused anxiety are now made with clarity and peace. Life no longer feels like a battle to survive, but a process in which you participate as a co-creator. The ease that is now present is not a reward for work alone, it is the natural outcome of your inner alignment with divine intention. As the struggle dissolves, your focus can shift from merely surviving to consciously creating the reality you desire. Unexpected ease is not just a temporary relief. It is a signal that the foundations of your life are shifting in your favor. It confirms that the forces of the unseen are orchestrating events to support your growth and success. When you notice this change, embrace it fully, for it marks the arrival of a new phase, one in which life works with you. The old struggle fades, because you are stepping into a life guided by divine intelligence, where your desires, actions, and circumstances move together in perfect harmony. There comes a moment in life when opportunities begin to appear in ways that feel almost miraculous. Doors that once stayed closed, seemingly no matter how hard you knocked or how persistent you were, now begin to open effortlessly. This is one of the clearest signs that God is shifting everything in your favor. The walls that once blocked your progress were never permanent. They were temporary barriers meant to guide your consciousness, to prepare you, and to align your inner world with the blessings that were always intended for you. When the right time arrives, these doors swing open naturally, as if they were waiting for you to be ready to step through. Yeah, as this hidden door that one can enter is being stepped through, the opening of these doors begins subtly, often through small coincidences and unexpected opportunities. A chance meeting, a timely message, or an introduction that seems trivial at first can suddenly transform your path. What once felt impossible now becomes probable. The effort that was once required to gain entry is no longer necessary because your inner alignment has shifted. You are no longer trying to force reality to conform to your desires. Instead, reality responds to the truth you hold within. The universe is intelligent, and when your beliefs, emotions, and imagination harmonize with your goals, the barriers dissolve naturally. It is important to understand that these doors do not open randomly. They open in perfect alignment with your vision, your intentions, and the desires that have been imprinted on your heart. Each opportunity that presents itself carries the fingerprints of divine orchestration. You may notice that situations that once felt distant or inaccessible suddenly find a way to meet you where you are. People who once seemed out of reach become allies. Circumstances that once seemed impossible to navigate now fall into place with clarity and ease. This is the evidence that God is not just moving things for you, but moving them in perfect timing, ensuring that your path is aligned with your highest good. As these doors open, you also begin to recognize the role of your inner state in attracting them. Your focus, faith, and unwavering expectation serve as magnets for the opportunities that are now becoming available. You are no longer looking outward for proof. Instead, you are feeling inwardly that the doors will open, and as a result, they do. This is the law of divine correspondence at work. The outer world responding to the inner certainty you carry. The key is to maintain this inner certainty and to step forward boldly when the doors appear, trusting that they are opening precisely when they should. The effortless opening of doors is accompanied by a sense of grace and ease. You no longer struggle or strain against resistance. Instead, life begins to flow in a way that feels natural and aligned. Every new opportunity reinforces the awareness that you are moving in harmony with a divine plan. Even doors you never imagined opening become accessible simply because your consciousness has expanded to receive them. This is a reminder that divine favor is not about luck or coincidence. It is about alignment, faith, and the willingness to act when opportunity presents itself. When you recognize that doors are opening effortlessly, it is a call to trust and step forward with confidence. The closed doors of the past were never permanent. They were simply preparing you for this moment. Now, as each door swings open, you are invited to walk boldly into your new reality, knowing that God is orchestrating every detail in your favor. Each detail in your favor, the path ahead is illuminated, and the opportunities that were once beyond reach are now within your grasp, ready to transform your life in ways you have always dreamed. There is a profound moment in life when your desires no longer feel like distant dreams, random wishes, or fragile hopes. Instead, they begin to feel natural, inevitable, and almost preordained. This is one of the clearest signs that God is shifting everything in your favor. What once felt like an ambitious longing now carries the weight of certainty. You start to sense that what you want is not outside of reach, but is already moving toward you. The desire no longer exists as a separate entity. It feels as though it has always been a part of your life, waiting for the perfect moment to manifest. This shift begins within your consciousness. You notice a subtle change in the way you relate to your desires. They no longer trigger anxiety, impatience, or doubt. Instead, they evoke a quiet confidence and a deep sense of trust. You find yourself imagining their fulfillment without resistance, visualizing them as already realized. The act of wishing transforms into the act of knowing. The longing that once made you feel incomplete now reassures you that life is aligned with what you are ready to receive. There is a profound shift in energy when desire moves from being a hope to being an expectation. As your desires begin to feel natural, you also notice how effortlessly they fit into your life. They no longer feel like foreign ambitions that require struggle or sacrifice to achieve. Instead, they feel like extensions of your being, inevitable consequences of your inner alignment. The obstacles that once seemed formidable lose their power, and the steps toward your dreams begin to appear obvious and manageable. You no longer chase the outcome with desperation, You step into the path that naturally leads to it, guided by intuition, opportunity, and timing that seems almost miraculous. This feeling of inevitability is reinforced by your inner faith. You begin to trust that the desires placed within your heart are not mistakes or whims. They are divine markers of the life that is meant for you. The universe begins to reflect this trust back to you, orchestrating situations, people, and circumstances that confirm what you already sense within. Small confirmations, coincidences, and timely alignments start to reinforce the certainty that your desires are already on their way. You begin to act not out of anxiety, but out of inspiration, guided by the knowing that fulfillment is not just possible, but inevitable. This natural sense of inevitability transforms your relationship with patience. You no longer measure progress by external results or timelines. You are aware that the process is as important as the outcome, and you allow life to unfold in perfect rhythm. Your focus shifts from the how and when to the certainty of the what. You carry your desires as truths rather than wishes, and this mental and emotional alignment accelerates their manifestation. As your desires feel more natural and inevitable, you experience a profound sense of peace and empowerment. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. Instead, you are co-creating reality in harmony with divine intelligence. The longing that once caused stress now serves as a compass, guiding you toward fulfillment. Life begins to flow with ease, doors open naturally, and the path to your dreams becomes clear. This inner certainty is the most powerful sign that God is not only aware of your desires, but is actively orchestrating their manifestation in your favor. You begin to see that what you have always wanted is not a matter of if, but of when, and that when is already moving toward you with unstoppable inevitability. One of the most profound signs that God is shifting everything in your favor is the unmistakable awareness of perfect timing. These are the moments when life seems to orchestrate itself with precision beyond your understanding. Opportunities appear exactly when you need them. Answers to questions arrive before you even know to ask. People enter your life at the precise moment they are meant to support your journey. These perfect timing moments are not coincidences, they are divine alignments. Prove that unseen forces are actively arranging circumstances to bring your desires into manifestation. You begin to notice that events no longer feel random. The delays, setbacks, and waiting periods that once frustrated you are now revealed as preparation. Each pause, each challenge, each seeming obstacle was designed to position you perfectly for the blessing you are about to receive. The timing of life is intentional, and it unfolds according to a wisdom far greater than human understanding. When you pay attention, you start recognizing the pattern. Nothing is too early, nothing is too late, and everything arrives exactly as it should. These moments often appear subtle at first. Perhaps a phone call comes at just the right moment, or an email arrives with the solution you were seeking. You meet someone who unknowingly guides you toward an opportunity that shifts your path. A chance encounter, a passing remark, or a sudden insight seems insignificant until you see how it fits perfectly into the unfolding plan of your life. Over time, these perfect timing moments become more frequent and more noticeable, and you begin to sense a rhythm behind the apparent randomness of everyday life. As you become aware of divine alignment, You also realize that your role is not to force events or rush outcomes. The more you resist the natural unfolding of life, the more you block the timing of these blessings. When you trust and surrender, when you act in harmony with your inner knowing, life aligns itself around you. Your intuition guides your choices, and the perfect opportunities appear as if drawn to you by an invisible force. This awareness transforms your experience. Instead of struggling against circumstance, you move with it, stepping into moments that are already designed to support your growth and fulfillment. The sense of divine timing also brings a deep inner peace. You begin to release anxiety, worry, and the need to control every detail. You trust that the universe is not random or indifferent, but intimately aware of your desires and actively arranging the conditions for their manifestation. This trust allows you to focus on what matters: your vision, your mindset, and your alignment, while life orchestrates the precise circumstances needed for your success. Recognizing perfect timing is a form of spiritual confirmation. It reassures you that your prayers, intentions, and desires are not ignored or forgotten. Every synchronistic event, every timely opportunity, every seemingly miraculous encounter is a sign that God is moving things in your favor. These moments remind you that you are not alone in your journey and that the universe is actively collaborating with your inner vision. As you continue to notice these alignments, your faith grows, your patience strengthens, and your confidence deepens, because you understand that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, at the perfect moment, in perfect order, for your highest good. There is a profound sign that God is shifting everything in your favor, and it is felt not through external validation, but deep within your being, a quiet, unshakable confidence. It is the kind of confidence that arises without effort, without boasting, and without needing explanation. You may not be able to pinpoint its origin or describe it to others, but you feel it unmistakably. It is a certainty that, despite the circumstances, the forces of life are aligned in your favor. This quiet confidence is not arrogance or pride. It is a spiritual assurance that everything you desire is moving toward you, and nothing can stop it. You notice it first in the way you hold yourself, where once doubt, fear, or insecurity dictated your posture, your speech, and your decisions. Now there is a calm certainty in every action. You move through life with an inner steadiness, as if an invisible hand guides each step. Challenges no longer shake you the way they once did, because you carry within you a sense of inevitability, an understanding that your path is being divinely orchestrated. This confidence is quiet because it does not demand recognition. It simply exists, as natural and undeniable as your own heartbeat. This inner assurance often manifests in decision making. You find that you can make choices with clarity and conviction. You trust your intuition more deeply and act on it without hesitation. Whereas you may have previously questioned your every move, now there is a knowing, a deep instinctive understanding that your steps are aligned with a greater plan. Even when circumstances appear uncertain, this confidence does not waver, because it is grounded not in what you see, but in what you feel and know inwardly. You understand that visible evidence is not required for divine favor. Your inner state is proof enough. The quiet confidence also transforms how you interact with the world. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to others or to seek constant validation. You walk through life with a sense of dignity, grace, and authority that is naturally magnetic. People may notice it before you do, but it is not for their approval. It is a reflection of the alignment within you. Your presence communicates something that cannot be argued with. You know your worth, you know your path, and you trust the process of your life. This confidence is reinforced by the subtle signs that life places in your path. Opportunities appear with precision. Timing works in your favor, and obstacles that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve. These moments remind you that your inner knowing is accurate, and that divine favor is actively guiding your journey. As a result, your faith grows, your patience deepens, and your sense of peace expands. You no longer cling to outcomes with desperation, but move forward with trust, knowing that the universe is orchestrating everything for your highest good. This quiet confidence is a spiritual gift. It is a sign that God is not only aware of your desires, but is actively moving to fulfill them. It cannot be explained because it is beyond human reasoning. And yet it cannot be denied because it is an undeniable truth within your soul. It is the calm assurance that your life is shifting, that doors are opening, and that everything is aligning in your favor. When you sense this confidence, cherish it, for it is the inner confirmation that your time has come and that divine favor is now at work in every aspect of your life. In conclusion, the signs we have explored, the inner shift that precedes every transformation, the unexpected ease that replaces old struggles, the doors that once stayed closed now opening effortlessly, the natural and inevitable feeling of your desires, the divine alignment revealed through perfect timing, and the quiet confidence that cannot be denied, are all proof that God is actively shifting everything in your favor. These are not mere coincidences or random occurrences. They are the unmistakable fingerprints of a divine orchestration at work, aligning your life with the fulfillment of your deepest desires. When you recognize these signs, trust them, embrace them, and move forward with faith, you step fully into the life that has been prepared for you. Everything you have longed for, hoped for, and imagined is not only possible, it is already moving toward you. The challenges you have faced, the delays you have endured, and the obstacles you thought insurmountable were all preparing you for this moment of alignment. Now is the time to trust the process, to step boldly through the doors opening before you, and to hold unwavering faith in the unseen forces guiding your path. Thank you for taking the time to listen and reflect on these signs today. May you leave with a renewed sense of hope, faith, and certainty, knowing that everything in your life is being perfectly arranged in your favor. Beloved, there comes a moment in every life when heaven whispers, now. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. The atmosphere around you has shifted. The currents of divine movement are no longer waiting for your permission, they are flowing in your direction. What you once prayed for in tears is being arranged in your favor with precision. The move of God has begun. You may not see it yet with your natural eyes, but deep within something is stirring. The invisible hand of grace is positioning people, places, and circumstances to honor the faith you've held in silence. Every closed door was not rejection, it was redirection. Every season of stillness was the womb of your new beginning. God is not coming. He has already moved. The evidence of his movement begins in your awareness. When you accept within yourself that everything is working for your good, you join the current of divine favor. What was once an obstacle becomes a bridge. What was once loss transforms into lesson. The law of the Spirit is simple. What you accept as true within must appear without. So receive this now, not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a settled reality. You are favored. You are chosen. You are the vessel through which God's movement expresses itself. Every limitation that once defined you is dissolving. The unseen power of divine intention is rewriting your story. The move of God is not something happening to you. It is something unfolding through you. Pause for a moment and feel it. The stillness in your spirit is confirmation that heaven has already answered. The joy that rises within you is not imagination, it is evidence. When your inner world aligns with divine truth, the outer world has no choice but to mirror it. You are stepping into divine timing. You are entering the flow where effort ends and alignment begins. The delay was only the gathering of strength. The silence was the preparation for your sound. The darkness was the canvas for the light now bursting forth in you. So lift your head. Expect good news. Walk as one who already possesses the promise. Speak as one whose words are charged with divine authority. For when you declare that everything is working in your favor, you are not making a request. You are revealing what heaven has already decreed. This is your confirmation. The move of God has begun. Not tomorrow, not next year, but now. Receive it in faith. Receive it in gratitude. Receive it in stillness. Everything you have walked through was leading you to this moment, a moment of divine favor, divine order, divine manifestation. The universe has heard your faith. Heaven has answered your cry. Receive it now. The divine shift has already begun. Whether you sense it or not, something sacred and unseen is working quietly on your behalf. The invisible hand of God is rearranging the pieces of your life, aligning every detail, every encounter, every circumstance in perfect harmony with your destiny. What once looked like chaos was never disorder. It was divine choreography. You may have felt delays, detours, and disappointments, but all of them were a part of the greater movement of heaven that has now entered a season of manifestation. There are moments when it seems as though nothing is happening, when your prayers echo in silence and your faith feels like it's standing still. Yet even then, God is working behind the curtain of your awareness. The shift is never loud. It begins in the quiet spaces of your soul, in the unseen realm where faith gives birth to reality. You may not notice the transformation at first because the move of God often starts small, like the first light of dawn that slowly overtakes the darkness. This divine shift is not about striving or chasing, it's about alignment. It's about coming into harmony with the truth that you are already within the flow of God's favor. The unseen hand does not struggle to bless you. It simply arranges the path so that what is meant for you finds its way with ease. The opportunities that seemed lost, the relationships that seemed broken, the seasons that seemed wasted, All are being rewoven into something meaningful. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. Think of how seeds grow beneath the soil. For a time, there is no evidence of life above the surface. Yet everything essential is happening below. Roots are forming, strength is being built, and potential is awakening. That's how divine movement works. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not real. In truth, the unseen is often more powerful than the visible. The shift begins internally, through belief, through acceptance, through quiet confidence that all things are working together for your good. You are not waiting for God to begin, He has already begun. The moment you believed, the moment you chose to trust even when you didn't understand, something shifted. Every thought of faith, every word spoken in gratitude, every moment of surrender added momentum to the unseen current moving in your favor. The hand of God is not idle, it is active, adjusting timelines, aligning hearts, opening doors you cannot yet see. Soon, what has been working in secret will become visible. The conversations you need, the connections you've prayed for, the opportunities designed just for you, they will unfold naturally because they have been divinely arranged. Your only task is to remain still in trust, to live as if the miracle has already happened. When you rest in this knowing, peace becomes your confirmation. The divine shift is not coming, it is here, and it is moving every detail of your life toward the fulfillment of divine purpose. Everything that appears in your life is first conceived within. The outer world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the images, emotions, and beliefs you nurture in the hidden chambers of your mind. The inner vision creates the outer reality. What you accept as true in faith must one day take form. Your circumstances are not random, they are the visible expression of your invisible convictions. The moment you see clearly within, your world begins to reorganize itself to match that inner sight. The divine process of creation always begins in the unseen. Every dream, every answered prayer, every breakthrough is first born in imagination, through the quiet conviction that what you desire already exists in spirit. Faith is not merely hoping for something, it is perceiving it inwardly until it becomes undeniable. When your inner awareness accepts a truth so completely that it feels real, creation begins its sacred work of reflection. The world outside bends to the pattern you hold within. If you look around and see limitation, you are only witnessing the residue of old beliefs. You are never stuck, you are simply observing yesterday's vision. But when you dare to shift the image within, to see abundance instead of lack, healing instead of pain, victory instead of defeat, you set in motion a new cycle of manifestation. The universe cannot resist the pull of a focused mind. The unseen power that governs all things responds to the vibration of certainty. Your inner acceptance is the birthplace of divine manifestation. This means that nothing new can emerge in your life until it has first been welcomed in your imagination. To receive something spiritually is to claim it inwardly before evidence appears. It is to live from the end, to think, feel, and act as though what you desire is already accomplished. This inner alignment invites the outer world to conform. The moment you stop doubting and start dwelling in the feeling of the answered prayer, you shift realities. The greatest secret of faith is emotional agreement. When your emotions and thoughts unite in harmony, creation is inevitable. That's why doubt delays and fear distorts. They divide your energy. But when you hold a single, unwavering image of good, when you feel gratitude before the blessing arrives. You open the door for divine power to flow without resistance. The invisible becomes visible because you have made it real within yourself. Understand this deeply. You are not waiting on circumstances to change. Circumstances are waiting on you to see differently. The kingdom of God is within you. It is the realm of perfect creation where every possibility already exists. Your task is not to force or struggle, but to envision, to believe, and to emotionally dwell in the outcome you desire. Soon the world around you will echo the song of your inner vision. People will call it coincidence, but you will know it was faith shaping reality. The outer world is nothing more than the canvas, and your imagination is the brush, guided by divine power. What you hold in faith within must appear without, for God always fulfills the image conceived in the heart that dares to believe. You are standing in a season of favor. This is not just another moment in time, it is a divine intersection where everything that once seemed delayed or denied is being transformed into evidence of God's perfect timing. The struggles, the waiting, the unanswered prayers, they were not punishments but preparations. Every disappointment was shaping your character, refining your faith, and aligning you for what could not come before its appointed hour. What felt like stagnation was divine strategy. Heaven was preparing you for release. Favor does not always announce itself with noise. It often comes quietly after a long silence. You may have endured seasons where doors refused to open, where your efforts seemed fruitless, and where the promises of God felt distant. Yet in those moments, something sacred was happening within you. You were being strengthened to carry what is now being released. God does not withhold to punish. He withholds to protect and prepare. If it had come earlier, you might not have had the capacity to sustain it. But now you are ready. The season you are stepping into carries grace that is no longer delayed. What was once resisted will now flow freely. What was once hidden will now be revealed. This is the moment where all things begin to make sense. The pain, the pauses, the pruning, the lessons learned in your wilderness were not wasted. They are the foundation of your wisdom. Every tear watered the soil of your breakthrough. Every setback cleared the path for your elevation. You were never losing time. Time was working for you. This is the nature of divine favor. It arrives when your heart and heaven come into alignment. The season of favor is not determined by external conditions, but by internal readiness. When your faith matures into trust, you no longer chase blessings. Blessings begin to chase you. You become magnetized to opportunity because your spirit now vibrates at the frequency of divine order. Look around you with new eyes. The very situations that once brought you pain are now revealing purpose. The people who walked away created space for those who are meant to walk in. The dreams that seemed to die are being resurrected with greater clarity and power. Nothing was lost. Everything was being rearranged for this divine unveiling. You are no longer waiting for your time. Your time has found you. Step boldly into this season. Expect doors to open with ease. Expect favor to follow your obedience. Expect restoration that exceeds your imagination. The weight you carried has turned into wings. The divine delay has ended, and the release has begun. You are standing in the manifestation of everything your faith has endured for. This is not coincidence, this is covenant. You have entered a divine season where grace works faster than effort, and where everything, without exception, begins to work in your favor. Faith is the bridge between promise and manifestation. It is the invisible path that connects what has been spoken by God to what will soon be seen in your life. Every promise exists already in spirit, waiting for your faith to bring it into form. Faith is not hoping that something might happen. It is the quiet inner conviction that it already has. It is the unwavering awareness that the word spoken over your life cannot return void. The moment you truly believe, the unseen world begins to respond, rearranging circumstances, people, and opportunities to fulfill your expectation. The universe is not random. It is responsive. It bends to the vibration of belief. The entire structure of reality is designed to reflect consciousness, and faith is the language that communicates with the divine order of creation. When you believe, you set in motion a process that cannot be seen with natural eyes, but is deeply felt in spirit. It is as though heaven and earth begin to collaborate to make what you hold within a living reality without. Every promise requires a bridge, and that bridge is built one thought at a time. Doubt tears down what faith constructs, but every moment you choose trust over fear, you lay another plank across the unseen divide. Faith transforms waiting into certainty and uncertainty into peace. It allows you to rest before the miracle appears because it knows that the outcome is inevitable. Belief is not passive, it is creative. It is the spiritual act of agreeing with divine truth until it becomes substance. When you hold an inner vision with unwavering faith, the outer world has no choice but to conform. Circumstances may resist for a time, but resistance only tests the strength of your conviction. Faith never looks to appearances for validation. It looks inward, where the promise is already alive. The moment you believe, something shifts in the atmosphere around you. People are moved into position. Conversations unfold at just the right time. Doors open where there were none before. You cannot see all the details, but the orchestration is perfect. What once seemed like coincidence is actually divine synchronization, responding to your inner state. The universe is listening to the song of your faith, and it echoes that melody back to you in form. Faith bridges the gap between what you have heard and what you will hold. It is not built in comfort, it is forged in uncertainty. When everything around you says impossible, faith whispers already done. It stands firm when logic fails, and it rejoices before evidence appears. So stand on the bridge with confidence. Let your heart rest in assurance that what was promised is already on its way. The same power that formed galaxies is working in your favor. The moment you believe, the universe reorganizes itself, and every element of creation begins to cooperate with your destiny. Faith does not wait for proof, it creates it. To receive before you see is the essence of true faith. It is the posture of a soul that no longer waits for visible evidence to believe in what God has already promised. Receiving from God is not an act of begging or striving, it is a state of being, a quiet inner knowing that what you have asked for is already accomplished in the unseen. To receive is to shift your awareness, to live mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the reality of what is already yours, even before it takes shape in the physical world. Everything in creation begins in the invisible. The spiritual realm is the source, and the material world is the reflection. When you pray, you are not asking God to create something new, you are aligning yourself with what He has already prepared. The moment you ask in faith, it exists, but it exists first in spirit. Your role is not to wait anxiously for it to appear, but to dwell in the feeling of already having it. That feeling is the magnetic force that draws it into manifestation. To receive before you see is to act as if the promise has already been fulfilled. It means giving thanks before the answer arrives, celebrating before the victory is visible, and walking with confidence even when nothing seems to have changed. This is not self-deception, it is divine alignment. You are choosing to identify with the truth of what God has spoken, rather than the illusion of what your senses temporarily perceive. The physical world lags behind spiritual reality, but it must eventually catch up to what you consistently hold within. Your emotions are the signal you send to creation. When you feel joy, gratitude, and certainty as though the manifestation were already complete, you communicate faith to the universe. That faith becomes the bridge that allows the unseen to flow into the seen. The opposite is also true. When you dwell in fear, lack, or doubt, you delay what is already yours, because your emotional state contradicts the truth of abundance. To receive before you see is to let your inner world lead and your outer world follow. This is why gratitude is such a powerful force. Gratitude assumes possession. It says, "It is already mine." When you give thanks for what you cannot yet touch, you proclaim that you have received it in spirit, and the outer world is compelled to reflect that truth. Faith does not ask, "When will it happen?" Faith declares, "It has happened, and I rejoice." Everything you desire already exists in a higher dimension, waiting for your recognition. The moment you accept it inwardly, the process of manifestation begins outwardly. You do not need to chase or convince, you only need to align and allow. When your mind and heart live in the reality of the fulfilled promise, you have already received. And soon, what you once believed in silence will appear before your eyes, not because it was newly created, but because you finally chose to see what had always been yours. You are the evidence of the move of God. You do not have to look to the sky for signs or wait for something dramatic to prove that heaven is working on your behalf. The proof is already within you. The change in your heart, the renewal of your mind, the quiet strength that now sustains you where fear once ruled. Transformation is not just a sign of divine activity, it is the move of God made visible through you. Every shift in your thinking, every release of bitterness, every rise in faith is heaven at work in human form. There was a time when you doubted, when you questioned if your prayers were heard, if your waiting had meaning. But look at you now, standing stronger, seeing clearer, loving deeper. That is not coincidence, that is evidence. The presence of peace in situations that once shook you, the confidence that replaces anxiety, the light that has returned to your eyes, all of it is the mark of divine movement. God's greatest miracles are often internal before they are external. Before He changes your surroundings, He transforms your perception. You are no longer the same person you were in your previous season. What used to break you now builds you. What used to scare you now strengthens you. This is what happens when heaven moves through a human life. It doesn't just alter circumstances, it awakens identity. The move of God begins as awareness. It is the realization that you are not separate from divine power, but an expression of it. The evidence is the expansion of your consciousness, the birth of compassion, the awakening of purpose. The world often looks for miracles in signs and wonders, But the greatest miracle is a changed heart. When love replaces anger, when peace conquers fear, when faith silences doubt, heaven has already touched earth. You are walking proof that divine grace is real. Every act of forgiveness, every moment of courage, every prayer whispered in trust becomes testimony that God is not distant. He is moving through you, shaping you from the inside out. Even when the outer world seems unchanged, the transformation within is announcing a new reality. You are becoming aligned with heaven's rhythm, and that inner harmony will soon manifest outwardly. The peace you now feel will attract peace around you. The clarity you now possess will order your steps. The strength you carry will manifest as success, restoration, and new beginnings. The outer expression always follows the inner transformation. So do not minimize what God is doing in you because it does not yet look spectacular to others. The quiet work of grace is the most powerful of all. You are becoming the living message that God is active, that redemption is possible, that light always wins. The shift within your spirit is the sound of heaven moving in your life. You are the evidence of divine reality unfolding, living proof that the move of God has already begun and that His favor is resting upon you now. Beloved, as we bring this message to a close, remember this truth. The move of God has already begun. You are not waiting for your season has found you. Every delay was preparation, every battle was training, and every prayer was planting a seed that is now bearing fruit. The unseen hand of God has been guiding every step, turning what once seemed like detours into divine direction. You are now walking in a flow where everything is aligning in your favor. The shift within you has unlocked the blessings around you. Faith has built the bridge. Your inner vision has shaped your reality, and your willingness to receive before you see has opened the door to manifestation. You are living proof that heaven is active, that miracles are real, and that divine timing is never late. So stand boldly in this moment. Let gratitude rise in your heart. Speak life over your destiny and walk with assurance that everything is working for your good. The evidence of God's move is not somewhere far away. It is within you, breathing, transforming, expanding. Thank you for joining in this message of faith and awakening. May you continue to walk in divine favor, see through the eyes of spirit, and live each day knowing that the move of God is alive in you, now and always.